Hi Virgo, this is your reading for June 2019. However, if you've come across this video at some time that's not that month and you're not a Virgo, but you've decided to click on this video because your intuition guided you to do so, then this reading is also for you. I'd like to ask you to be really present with me for your reading and set aside anything that you're doing. Don't multitask at this time. I want to make sure that you get the most out of your time with me and that the messages that are being passed along here are being received by you. So you may want to consider putting on some headphones to listen to this reading, but do put aside anything else that you're doing and really sit down and focus on what's happening here to make the most out of your time. While I'm shuffling, check in with your higher self. Ask your higher self to connect to my higher self so that we can create a feedback loop to make sure that you get tailored messages that are especially for you. Let's take a look. Very interesting configuration of cards here. What I was getting while I was putting the cards down is latency. And the general impression I'm getting from this first snapshot, this first intake of energy from the cards is that I'm hearing transition. I'm hearing time out. What I feel here is the general energy that I'm feeling here is that for some of you there may be a sense of frustration or boredom bordering on unhappiness in your workplace in particular, or in your chosen field of interest for work, for how you create money. And what I'm getting here is that I'm hearing lack of interest. Let's go in deeper and see what we can find. Well, what jumps out also here is that there's two eights, both in reverse. You have the Eight of Swords in the position of your recent past, and the Eight of Wands at the foundation of the reading in the unconscious mind. And then the Two of Swords in the outcome position. But just look at these two cards here and how they both show characters wearing blindfolds and kind of bound up, or there's a kind of like blocked energy or restricted energy here with both of these two characters. The Eight of Swords is actually in the reverse position in your reading, indicating that you could have had some what is it? I'm hearing absolution, but it's the feeling I'm getting is that you may have realized that you have been maybe self-sabotaging in some areas of life, in some ways. Relating to how you perceive your story. But seeing this Two of Swords here in the outcome position is not very encouraging for that. In that axis of the reading, this feels to me like you may have had some insight or understanding about ways in which you may have been self-sabotaging, but the outcome is this place where there is a denial. So what this is telling me is that you might have had some revelations and some understanding. Also here with the Judgment card and the Knight of Cups, this is telling me that you've had some revelation and some understanding, and that maybe there's some opportunity that comes with that. But if this is the place we're landing at the end of the reading with you kind of blindfolded again, It's a little discouraging. Because what that tells me, what I'm feeling here is that there's cards here that are showing me that you may have understood some things, but in the end, you may not be willing to accept or face those things. So let's go in a little bit deeper here and see if we can get a little more understanding and clarity here of the forces at play. So as I said at the beginning, there may be some unhappiness or some boredom even at work. You have this 10 of Cups here in reverse at the heart of the reading, crossed by the 3 of Pentacles. So again, it seems like there's some dissatisfaction, lack of interest at work. This 3 of Pentacles card could be indicating, you know, that we're talking about work here for the most part. Just a second. Like for some of you, if your work involves collaborative efforts or endeavors where you work together with other people, that's what the 3 of Pentacles is saying here. And that may have been your how do I say that? Your mode, like that collaborative work or group projects or business partnerships or team working may have been your mode of operating until this point. But what I'm seeing here with these cards is that there's this feeling here that you may not be enjoying that environment, or that you may not be. And some of what I'm feeling here with these 3 cards here at the bottom of the reading is 8 of Wands reversed, 9 of Swords reversed, and 5 of Wands reversed. Is that there's a little bit of a feeling here that in those group projects or in group environments where you may be working in a team or with a business partner or in a collaborative effort in some way, there is something here about you may have been there may have been some like tension or conflict between you and other people in the project, but you may not be there may not have been open communication about that. Like these 2 cards here in reverse, even though normally the swords would be indicative more of communication, in this reading I feel like these 2 cards are talking more about communication that has been needed but not shared. So what I mean by that is that there may have been tension in a dynamic, but you and others involved may not have been willing to communicate their feelings of discomfort or dis-ease or displeasure in the working environment for whatever reason. And that quietness or that lack of confrontation may be part of the cause of like what it feels like is an accumulation of energy of unspoken dissonance that now has kind of arrived to this point where like there's a massive elephant in the room and nobody's really willing to kind of express and communicate their dissatisfaction with the conditions. And I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes difficult conversations can tend to be avoided because nobody, wants to lay blame or accuse or hurt someone else's feelings by what they're communicating. But I feel like what's important here is that, and I'm not beating up on you. It's just what I'm seeing here in the cards is that you may be feeling a bit like you are the victim of a circumstance where other people have not held up their word of promise as far as what they said they could do or what they should do or what their role is in a certain dynamic. But it's important here to see your responsibility as well and notice that you may also, the other person in the story may also be feeling the same way about you, and that they may be feeling a bit let down or a bit disappointed by a lack of fulfillment of promises, or I'm hearing not, like kept, like promises not kept, or inability to complete things in a timely way, or shortcomings as far as like not being on time with communication as well, not just completing work but also just being timely with communication. So there's elements here that are suggesting that you may be dissatisfied at work and you may be unhappy and frustrated in your environment at work. and you may be feeling like you want to put that responsibility in places, in other places. But it's important here. What I'm seeing here and what I need to pass on to you is that other people are feeling that way about you too. And it's not a situation of pointing the finger and laying blame. What's important here is that it's necessary for everyone in the environment, in the group setting, to own up to their responsibilities. And that's what I feel like this Two of Swords is saying here, is that you may not be willing to own up to some of the responsibilities. You might be in denial about some of the excuse me, factors at play here, where responsibility needs to land on your shoulders as far as how a certain project or event played out in a way that was unsatisfying. And what I'm seeing with these other cards here, like at the top of the reading, so that's kind of like that. What I spoke on there was kind of like this bottom half of the reading here. But now these four cards here, Seven of Cups upright with the Fool in reverse in the hopes and fears position, and then the Hermit upright with the Nine of Pentacles reversed in the outcome. How I'm seeing this is that in some ways, you may have been kind of, what's jumping out at me about this card right now is this mask. And what I'm feeling here is that you may have been kind of hiding behind the mask of what a group story. Wait, let me just find the right words here. I have the clear energetic impression. I just need to put language to it, because what I'm getting here is that you may part of what this denial is that you may be needing to acknowledge that you might have been hiding behind other people in order to kind of feel complete in your presentations at work, or whatever it is that your responsibilities are. You may have been leaning too much on a group situation and being, I'm hearing, unavailable in certain ways to stand out on your own, right? Like this Hermit with the Nine of Pentacles to me is saying that, like, you may not have been, or maybe still are not willing to stand up on your own and present work on your own independently, and that you've been relying heavily on a group situation where projects are completed under the kind of banner of a group scene, a group story. But this is saying to me that your dissatisfaction actually is kind of saying that you may be pissed off at other people. That's what I'm saying. You're pissed off at other people because things are not turning out the way you think they should, or that they're not at the best level that you perceive them to be. But actually, you may need to be actually working on your own and taking all the responsibility of what you create and what you manifest and what you present. Because right now it feels like you're offloading some responsibility of how things turn out in a way that feels a little bit like if the results are lackluster and not that intriguing or compelling or, you know, rewarding financially or otherwise, you might be putting too much energy in the hands of other people and needing to acknowledge and recognize that you this might be a time where it's saying, like, if you're unhappy with the circumstances and the situation that you're in, you may need to see that it's time for you to go on your own and do your own work in your own way, in your own time, and as such, take all the responsibility for it, including all of the reward and maybe all of the criticism. Okay? I hope this is making sense. The Hermit is the Uranus card. This is the Virgo card in the tarot. So, and with the paired with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, this is telling me that you may, so as I was saying, you may know that you might need to be more independent in your work, in your life in general even. But paired here with the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, this is suggesting to me that you may not feel confident enough to do that, let's say, for some of you. This could be an issue around self-worth and confidence. And I think that's important to acknowledge and own that, you know, that feeling of maybe what the Seven of Cups is representing, as I was stumbling to express earlier, is that I feel like you may be hiding behind other people and not acknowledging for yourself that you may not be feeling as self-confident as other people might see you. And in order to really progress on the way here and take your personal journey to the next level, it may be time for you to acknowledge to yourself and potentially to some other people too, maybe some people in your close inner circle. It may not be about like telling your whole entire team that you're insecure, but for some people, and maybe just for yourself, it's alone, it could be a very valid and important time here to acknowledge that you may have been feeling insecure about certain things, and that you may have been presenting yourself in a certain way that led people to believe that you might have been more capable and more, I'm hearing enduring, than you may actually be. And that if you have been kind of like leaning heavily on other people in your work and feeling like let down by them in some ways, but they may also kind of, some people in your network may actually see this and already know it, but may not be, you know, kind of approaching you about it or confronting you with it. They may be waiting for you to do so. Or it just might simply be something that may be what some of this tension is, that some people may feel like they want to approach this topic, but feel unable to because it's something so private and hidden in a way, right? But this Two of Swords, this denial here is a little disconcerting, because I feel like until you can actually take this blindfold off and remove this blockage that you are placing there yourself, which is the refusal to admit what's true, you may not feel any ability to progress forward in your life, in your work in particular. I know that was a little bit hard. I didn't mean to be so hard on you, Virgo. I'm just seeing the cards and doing my best to interpret the energy in the most clear way that I can. So I hope that there's clarity there for you. That makes sense. At the bottom of the deck, we have the Six of Cups, Devil, Ace of Pentacles reversed, and Justice. I guess, I mean, for some of you, if this is a relationship reading, and being that the Ten of Cups was the first card to go down, and Six of Cups is showing up here, it could be for some of you that this is a relationship reading. If that is the case, what it's saying here is that while there is a very sweet bond between you and your partner, there is some aspects of that relating that is a little unhealthy, and that there are dependencies there. And that's some of what I was trying to describe here and failing to find the right words for, is that you may have dependencies also in your workplace too, where you kind of rely on certain people that help kind of create things that are what you are presenting as your work. And if you are not maybe acknowledging that you are depending heavily on other people to, in your relationship as well, like maybe you need to acknowledge for yourself that you depend a lot on your partner. And that may be an important part of your evolving relationship as well, is to have those conversations in order to kind of mature and grow beyond this kind of like loving display here of like mutual respect and appreciation and care and love. But to be able to see that there may be some unhealthy ways that you are depending and relating upon your partner. Depending and relying on your partner for, you know, your sort of life playing out here. I feel that this energy, like what I'm feeling here with this dependency energy and this kind of like hiding behind energy, is that if you can acknowledge it, like if you can see with this Two of Swords in the reading, if you can see that you have actually been denying this energy, and just own it and just own it and acknowledge it, mostly to yourself, and if you need to selectively communicate to other people what it is, it will help dissolve a lot of this tension and anxiety and like unspoken. It's kind of passive aggressive energy. There's some passive aggressive energy from you, from other people, and I think that if you take the higher road here and are able to acknowledge what it is that you may be hiding from for yourself, you will be able to, you'll generate for yourself the ability to make a quantum leap in your development. Because once you acknowledge that there is this energy here that's been kind of masked and hidden behind maybe what seems like a very confident persona, you will be able to open up new pathways for yourself into areas where you can have access to energy that until now you may have been blocked from accessing, because you haven't acknowledged that you may be feeling a certain way. I hope this is making sense. Now, justice here. I feel like I want another card with this. 3 of Wands, top of the deck, 8 of Pentacles reversed. What is it? I mean, there could be something here. I mean, obviously the Justice card is clearly is connected to legal proceedings, documents, contracts, anything to do with those kind of like orderly organizations that manage and control like fairness and agreements and such. Seeing that you have the 3 of Wands here and the 8 of Pentacles both in reverse with the Justice, and even the Ace of Pentacles too, this could be suggesting that there may be changes to some agreements that are with regard to your work, and that needn't be something to frighten you. That could be something that's actually beneficial. I can't really see that here. I can't really say one way or the other, but I feel like there could be some changes in your contractual obligations. Could be with regard to work. For some of you, what this 3 of Wands here is giving me this energy of traveling abroad. So some of you you might receive an offer or a contract to go abroad to work, and that could be I think with both of these being in reverse here, that could be a short-term contract, something temporary or something like with a time limit on it. That's how I'm seeing this. But I feel with this Justice card, there's a bigger overreaching energy of it in this spread here, where it feels to me like it's less about some kind of like contractual obligation, and it's more about your energy as something with, with integrity, with wholeness, with a feeling that is like, I'm hearing entitlement. But what I feel this is like there's something like a mirroring energy here. And what just stood out to me right there when I looked at the cards is that Justice is number 11 and Hermit is number 9. But if you can see the numbers there in Roman numerals, there's this reflecting energy, right? They're mirroring each other. So what that means to me, or what I feel, is that there's something about the energy of like real humility. That's what the Hermit feels like to me. There's this very humble, quiet energy of sort of going about your business in private, right? And the Justice is this very kind of public, overreaching, kind of sort of grand energy of righteousness, yeah? But what I'm feeling here is that there's some kind of blending going on, where if you can like, and both of these energies have a lot of integrity, And that's kind of the overall feeling that I'm getting with this whole reading, is that there's an energy here around integrity and just what it is to be honest about things, and just own what you feel. Own what you feel and stop denying, you know. Judgment is also that, like, don't deny what you feel, what's real for you, because inevitably you're just blocking or impeding your own progress in your personal development. And that's the most important thing here. It's not about how other people see you or what kind of energy you're projecting. This is about what's real, what's really inside, what's really real for you, what's true, what's authentic, and how you are able to move forward in your personal development in ways that is very revealing and opening, like this energy of like rising from the dead, right? Like a phoenix, kind of understanding truth that has been exposed in ways that may have been a little uncomfortable or painful, but inevitably are beneficial and help you to see the truth more and more in ways that enables you to have a better quality of life fundamentally. You know, there might be some awkwardness or discomfort here, or even like pride. You know, there's a little prideful energy here. But I feel that with this kind of raw, humble, exposed feeling that the Judgment card brings, that it does enable you to have like a fresh perception on your circumstances and situations in ways that allows you to springboard yourself forward into the next kind of cycle in your life, where you will be able to experience freedom from some of these binding energies that have felt discouraging or painful, or you know, like all that kind of stuff, you know. Raw honesty will save you, will free you, will liberate. So the battery ran out there, but I was more or less at the end of the reading, and I had just said that more or less the truth will set you free here. It's a little bit cliche, but it's absolutely true. So that's it for the general. I'm going to just check over here, make sure I haven't missed anything, and then we're going to go ahead and shuffle again for the higher octave reading. So you have 3 8s in the reading, but all 3 of them are in reverse. And you have 2 9s in the reading, also both in reverse, as well as the Hermit from the Major Arcana. So there's 3 8s and 3 9s in the reading. This kind of is saying to me that there is like something about the energy of this experience, or kind of what I'm feeling right now, what's going on here, is that it's something kind of like you could be near to culminating a long cycle of something that may have been trying and testing and a little uncomfortable and a bit difficult. But until you, as I've said a few times in this reading, until you acknowledge what you know to be true, and if it is about this, you know, what I was describing earlier with regard to insecurity and dependency and kind of maybe leaning on other people and maybe not taking as much responsibility, and if there's some unspoken things, some things that have not been expressed and some things that have not been confronted, that is kind of what's causing this impediment. There's an energy here where there's an urge from you on a soul level that wants to overcome and progress forward in a certain way. And there's this feeling here, like I described earlier, of you being close to having access to certain kinds of energies that you haven't had access to before, that you want to have access to, that you need to have access to. But until this energy here is resolved and released, you will not be able to access those energies. So that's where it's kind of calling this energy of humility and integrity to be able to just acknowledge what's true here and reveal. Like use your awareness from the perspective of a higher understanding of a situation to be able to overcome this. It's kind of obstinacy, this. You know, there's this refusal to see the truth. And some of it is, like I said, pride. But you can overcome this by just simply being willing to be raw and real and honest. And in doing so, you'll enable yourself to access opportunities that right now you don't have access to. All right, let's take a look at the Voyager deck and do your higher octave reading. I'm going to shuffle here again and do the same holographic mandala spread. While I'm shuffling, please do take a moment here to tune in, check in with your higher self, send your energy into the deck so I can get really clear messages that are tailored for you. Focus on your breathing for a few moments, really tune in. Yeah, there's the Three of Pentacles in reverse at the bottom of the deck. It's the same card that you have here in the crossing card position of your first reading. Eight of Cups, crossed by the Four of Wands, Hanged Man, Seven of Wands, Seven of Worlds, Ace of Cups. Seven of Worlds is reversed, Ace of Cups is upright, Ace of Crystals in reverse, Chariot reversed, Five of Crystals, Eight of Wands, Lovers reversed, Man of Cups, Ten of Wands, and the Priestess. So let's see, what do we have? This Seven of Wands here and the Chariot, which is number 7, Seven of Worlds here, and then I just saw the number 7 again here, Seven of Crystals. So what I feel is here, as I said, there's this feeling here of like an opening to a potential of energy that is as yet maybe a little bit outside of your reach. Is this? I hope that's clear. There's energy that's nearby that you have the potential to access soon if you do this little. Give yourself a breakthrough moment. Like allow yourself the opportunity to actually experience a movement forward into something new by simply revealing, just removing this blindfold. And in a way that's actually, you may be actually in a stagnation moment at this time. This Eight of Cups here, crossed by the Four of Wands. There is something here about like maybe you have been a little bit stuck in your ways, and that like your challenge right now is to actually strive to aspire for something a little bit more and not just be comfortable where you are. But it's about letting go, right? Like this Ten of Wands here. Ten of Wands in this deck is called growth, but in the Rider-Waite deck, it's more of an oppressive kind of energy, and it's kind of that, you know, that very vivid image of the character carrying a very heavy bundle of sticks over his shoulder. And usually that card is kind of symbolic of things you need to let go of, burdensome things that you've been kind of dragging around with you. And I feel that applies here in this reading. It's like you may be holding on to certain ideas or even your persona, you know. But in order to grow here, in order to pierce through your current like edge, like you're inside your own bubble in a way, and in order to move forward into a greater expression of who you are, you may need to be able to you may need to find a way to release your perception of who you are. And that could be what this is too. It's like removing this blindfold to actually perceive with raw honesty where you are, who you are right now, to be able to become something grander in a way, or to be able to grow into a bigger, newer kind of version of yourself that's more authentic. And this Hangman here is the crowning card of the reading. It is kind of lending itself to that interpretation of like compromise or sacrifice, letting go of something. And I do feel that there is something here about like an attachment to a persona, to a person. And that you may be a little bit stagnant in your personal development because you may be too dependent or too attached to, or too, you may be relying too heavily on how you are projecting your certain personality type into the world in a way that you feel like people perceive you, and that sort of generates opportunities for you. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it may be just like kind of you may be ready to kind of grow out of an old habit of like kind of a gimmicky way of getting around through life, and find a more authentic way of like accessing real energy, you know, like that what I described might be a kind of magic that you've been working with that is totally awesome. Like that's real manifestation. But what I was describing earlier, and I still feel this, is that there is a greater energy of like a certain kind of life force energy that has more potential and more magic in it. But you've got to be willing to let go of your old gimmicky ways of doing things and getting around through life and being successful in a certain way, the way you feel you're perceived by others as being successful, and sort of drop some of the old tired tricks and ways of doing things. Let's have a look at the bottom of the deck. Yeah, Three of Worlds reversed, Man of Worlds reversed, Woman of Cups upright, and Child of Wands upright. Yeah, I feel that this, like the Man of Wands Man of Worlds and Three of Worlds both in reverse, and then Woman of Cups and Child of Wands upright. This is exactly saying what I just said. Like you may have had ways, I'm hearing schemes, you may have had ways of achieving success in your life, in the world, in a certain way that kind of relied heavily on certain, you know, energetic ways of manifestation through the personality and through a kind of like a certain type of, you know what I'm saying, right? But this is guiding you towards a greater expression of magic through a more authentic and genuine, and it's a heightened operation of utilizing life force energy that relies, not relies on. It's about like this priestess energy with the Child of Wands energy and the Woman of Cups energy. What I'm feeling here with these three cards is that there is a way that you are uncovering a more truer version of your personal magic that is actually a genuine version of how you're able to access and channel life force. That's a little bit different to the way you've been doing it. This is about your own magic, your own personal magic, and how you work with life force energy to kind of create what it is that you want in the way that you want. This is much more empowered and much more authentic and real and unique as well. But the point I'm trying to make here, I guess, is that if you've been relying on like your old tricks, you know, your tried and tested methods of getting the things to be the way you want, or to create certain circumstances the way you want in your own kind of version of magic, it's fine. But there is a kind of window here that you will be able to access greater force of energy, greater frequency of energy, of ways to channel life force through you that will create much more profound and relevant versions of that. Like what you've been doing before has been dabbling. You've been dabbling. You're getting the opportunity to access magic in a much more profound way, but you have to be willing to let go of some of your old habits, and you have to be willing to also acknowledge that you may have been hiding behind other people. That's a very blunt way of saying what I was trying to say in the earlier reading. You may have been hiding behind other people and utilizing other people's energy to kind of create things the way you want them. No shade. It's okay. But just understand the point I'm making here is that you're getting access to much greater frequencies of energy, but you've got to be willing to put in this effort here and go on make a genuine inquiry into your own authority, into your own power, into your own capacity, and own that responsibility. Like I was saying in the first reading, like overcome whatever insecurities and shortcomings you might feel you have, and stand in your own power to access magic and medicine in your own way. authentically. But you've got to get there, you've got to access this this energy which is humble, which is seeking, which is inquiring, which is genuinely asking the universe for guidance, for instruction, and then listening and practicing accordingly. But priestess is in you. The magic is there. You have you will be able to access this energy of this very heightened, intelligent, mystical, knowledgeable energy as soon as you kind of let go of your old habits. I hope this is all clear for you, making sense. Right, let's move on. Just double checking over here now to make sure I've covered everything. I feel that's basically it for your reading. Definitely needing to channel courage for this process. That's the Seven of Wands here. And you may also need to let down your guard and let down your defenses. As I was saying earlier, it's a little bit more of this energy too, of like being honest and like removing the denial, removing the masks, and being available to the healing energy that is around you and wanting to come in and through you. There are forces at play here. And you are on the verge of a breakthrough moment, but you just need to be more on the same page with what's going on and not kind of with your back turned to it. Because some of you may be actually very much in tune with this energy that's kind of acting and working around you. Some of you may still be in denial because you might be feeling, like I said, a little prideful and unwilling to admit that you may have been, dabbling, like I was saying earlier. But the sooner you turn to face this, the quicker it will resolve, and the sooner you'll find yourself into a brand new arena of play that is actually much more suited to your vibration, and that you're very much capable of operating in. You're only holding yourself back. That's the point. You're only holding yourself back. Overcome your own inability to see the truth, and you will have much greater access to life force energy that will be incredibly empowering. Thank you so much for your time, Virgo. It's an honor and a pleasure to read for you. I hope you found some things in there that you can work with. I would suggest you watch it again. There was a lot of information there. And maybe come back to it at the end of the month and give it another review. After events unfold, you might find that very useful to review it again. So watch it a second time. Thank you so much for subscribing. If you haven't yet, please do. Also hit the notification bell so that you can get notified when new videos get uploaded so you don't miss any readings. Please share this video if you found it helpful. Help me spread the word about this channel and get as much people listening and watching this content as possible. Yeah, there's going to be playlists on your screen now for Virgo readings from months gone by. You might want to go back and have a look at some of those earlier readings if you're new here. And there's also a playlist there for readings for June 2019 for the other zodiac signs. So if you want to watch other readings, just click on anything that you feel guided to. You could also watch, cross-watch for someone you care about or that you're interested to know what's going on with, if that's something that seems like you want to do. And yeah, thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next reading.